Hello, namaste, and welcome Radio Zindagi listeners. I am RJ Renuka, and today we have exciting show with Amit Inamdar, Power Hour with Amit Inamdar. You are going to get the power-packed 30 minutes of information on real estate contingencies and how they protect you. We always welcome you to call us at 510-770-1550 to ask a question on the radio. However, if you are unable to get in, you can always submit a question for a personal response. Just go to Amit's website on sweethome.net or wnsweethome.net and click on the radio show link to submit your question. Hey, and you can always find Amit Inamdar just by searching his name is on Google. Hello, Amit, and welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you, Renuka. Hello, friends. Hello, listeners. Own Sweet Home, and welcome to my show, Power Hour with Amit Inamdar. Home buyers and sellers really need to familiarize themselves with contingency clauses in the contract. They are not only used to protect you, however, they can be used as a good negotiations tool. Using them as a negotiations tool is a skill I use effectively to negotiate the terms and sometimes the price of the home. Other times they are just used to protect the buyers and sellers' interests.
So what is a contingency, Amit?
Yeah, so the contingency is a future event or a circumstance that is possible but cannot be predicted with certainty. I look at contingency in the simplistic term as a condition in a real estate contract. Typically, when you go and buy goods from like a mall or a store, you typically get a 30-day money-back guarantee. And you don't have something like that in case when you buy a house. So when you get in a contract, you have a certain investigation period called a conditional period in which you can do your investigations to figure out whether this home is really worth buying. And based on that, you will make a go and no-go decision. And that's what really is a contingency is. It allows you to evaluate the home condition and allows you to make sure the home fits all your needs and wants.
So in general term, contingencies is like a condition.
Right,
Absolutely. If those conditions are fulfilled, then only I'll buy the house.
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. That's an easier way of saying it.
Okay.
Thank you.
So Amit, knowing the current market, isn't that word it's forgotten word nowadays, contingencies, because everybody is buying property as is, market
Right.
is so high, prices are so high, it's so much demand in the market and very limited
Right,
supply
exactly.
of homes.
And that's exactly the reason for today's show. People have forgotten the word contingency. As a matter of fact, there are tons of blogs on the internet that says if you want to have your offer accepted, just write with no contingencies at all, highest possible as is, and your offer will get accepted. That is true to a certain extent, but you don't have to do that for every home that comes on the market. Many sellers sometimes do a lot of upfront inspections, and seller reports and disclosures are available for the buyer to figure out the condition of the home. And if you are uncomfortable with these costs involved or the condition of the home, you don't have to buy the home. So some of these conditions are getting removed upfront, and there are ways to even get into a contract and also get quickly these inspections done. And we did that, Renuka, on the last purchase. Within 3 days where we had to deposit the money, we had the buyer's loan approved, appraisal done, and all inspections done. So by the time buyer deposited the check, he had this peace of mind that the home was in great shape, and he just proceeded with the transaction. And the listing agent was really surprised. He said, Amit, 20 years of real estate, and he hasn't seen anybody work with the contract the way I did, and still maintain my buyer's interest and allowed the other agent to maintain his client's interest at the same time. So looks like we have a caller coming in. Oh, looks like somebody hung up.
Call got dropped.
Okay. All right.
So listeners, if you have questions regarding real estate or loans, or we are talking about the real estate contingencies and how they can protect you, we are talking on Power Hour with Amit Inamdar. Studio number 510-770-1550, 770-1550. So listeners, Amit's first time home buyer webinar is a good resource to understand the real estate contract and related contingencies. You can view this webinar on Amit's website on sweethome.net, that is OWN, sweethome.net. The link is located as an image on the left column. So to get to Amit's website, you know what to do. Just Google Amit Inamdar Real Estate Broker and you will get to his website.
All right.
So Amit, what kind of contingencies exist in the real estate contract?
All right. Okay, before you can understand contingencies, you need to know what the impact of these contingencies might be. First of all, if you don't have contingencies, you may end up buying a home that is going to cost you a lot more after you purchase it. Or it may so happen that during the process, you may not get your loan approved, or the appraisal will come in extremely low and you cannot buy the house at the price that you wanted to buy. And you may actually lose the 3% deposit that is typically required at the beginning of the contract. And so protecting your deposit is important to me, and the contingencies protect you against losing it, as well as purchasing a wrong home for future unseen events. Typically, these contingencies the buyer may have are, like, for example, loan contingency, the appraisal contingency, inspection contingency, or I kind of call them investigation contingency, where you can have inspections, seller disclosures, title reports, or those type of contingencies where you get all the information about the home. And then other contingencies that may have is like a buyer wants to buy a new home, but he has to sell the existing home to buy the new home. So that may be a contingency for the contract. You can literally put any contingency you want as long as both parties agree to it. Even sellers have contingencies. I have seen sellers trying to sell their home subject to they finding a home of their dream when they sell this one, So you can have all kinds of contingencies in the contract.
So you said so many contingencies. Is it possible to elaborate on those?
Sure. Okay. So let's take an example of a loan contingency, right? So the loan contingency is basically saying, I will buy this home provided my loan is approved. Imagine a situation where you are so confident that you have a great credit score, you do not have any debts, and your home purchase is going to be a smooth selling process. And for some unforeseen reason, okay, if your loan is not approved, then your 3% deposit can be taken by the seller as a liquidated damages. And the 3% liquidated damages clause is an optional clause in the contract where I've seen some buyers refusing to sign it. But buyer should always sign that clause. It's the seller who can refuse to sign it, because seller can actually sue the buyer in that case for larger damages in case. But buyer should always sign that particular clause to protect themselves. So when I representing buyers, I'm very protective of their deposit, their interest. I remember a situation where one of my buyers was kind of iffy about his job situation. He said, well, they are announcing the layoffs. I already got in the contract. What should I do, etc., etc. And I said, well, you can back out, but let's try to figure out whether we can make this thing happen before the layoffs happen. And actually what happened was, on the 25th day of the contract, when he was supposed to sign the loan documents, the buyer got laid off. Since he had already shared his situation with me, I had used different contractual things to delay the removing of the loan contingency. So when his job got lost, the buyer was able to back out because his loan was not going to get approved, and he got his deposit back. So the thing is, it always helps to share your situation with me, whatever it might be, because there's always a way out to get what you want and protect yourself.
You also talked about one of the other client of yours, the buyer who was doing loan with someone else, a bank, and their loan was not approved. And he was so confident. He was a businessman and personal account, business account, everything was.
This guy was a Citigold customer, and the funny thing was, he went with Citibank to kind of do the loan. This was some time back, okay, and then because of the bank's rigid rules and everything, his loan got rejected. And then he came to me. It was like Friday evening, 4 o'clock. And that day, actually, he submitted all the documentation to me. I had his loan prepared, submitted, and we had an approval by Tuesday. So the thing is, this deposit and everything got saved just by using the right tools that I typically use with my clients. Looks like we have a caller in. Hello, Own Sweet Home. How can I help?
Yeah, I have a question about, I just pulled out loan to the bank last week, and I don't know what is going to happen next year because bank didn't give me any copy, anything that I paid off. They said the city of San Francisco, they're going to send me some letters or something. So can you tell me something about that?
Okay, I'm kind of confused about the question.
So you said you paid off your loan?
Yes.
Okay, if you have paid off your loan, they should file what's called a reconveyance deed in the county. Okay? And once they file a reconveyance deed,
you meaning the lender?
The lender will file it, and then you will get a copy in the mail in like 30 days or so. If you don't get it, just call the lender and ask them when they are going to file the reconveyance deed. And if your loan is paid off, actually, people actually do what's called a deed of trust burning party. Like the deed of trust that makes your home as a mortgage. People actually hold a party and they burn the deed of trust saying, hey, I already paid off my loan. Let's celebrate. I am free and clear of all the debts. Free of all the shackles of home mortgages and loans. So congratulations on doing that.
Oh, thank you. So I don't have to go to the city hall to get the deed copy?
Yeah, you can go to the county, not the city hall. You have to go to the county and ask them about reconveyance deed that was recorded by the lender. Or you can just call the lender and they should be able to send it to you.
Okay. So another thing that I want to apply for another loan. I want to buy another house. So can you help me to get pre-approved for that?
Yeah, absolutely. So what you can do is just give me a call back after the show. My number is 510-364-6686. Or just Google my name, Amit Inamdar, and you will find me, and then we can actually set up a meeting and get your pre-approval done. All right?
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
So, Amit, you talked about two of your clients just before this call came in. One was where you made one seller upset, and the other time you made one seller happy, where you saved the transaction from going south, and one where you saved your client.
Right.
So that seller must have been very upset.
Yeah, of course. I mean, anybody who loses in the transaction is going to be upset. So the seller was upset because he lost 25 days of marketing time. It was wasted, and he had to restart to marketing the property again, find a new buyer, and get into the contract. So the contingencies can protect one party and can hurt another. Another situation, maybe seller may have a contingency in the contract that he must find the home that he likes, otherwise the sale will not complete. And in that situation, if seller cannot find the property, all efforts by the buyer, including the money spent on inspections, appraisal, home buying, during the home buying process, are lost. And typically, in short sales, that happens quite a bit. If the buyer does all the investigation up front and the lender refuses to approve the short sale, the buyer's money basically is lost on all those investigations. So you need to be really aware of what you are going to do, how you are going to do it, where you are going to spend money, where the more risk can be taken and everything. Okay, we have another caller coming in. Hello, this is Amit. Who am I talking with?
Hello. नमस्कार जी अमित जी.
नमस्कार.
हाँ जी, मेरा ये सवाल था कि 2011 में मेरा हाउस फोरक्लोज हो गया था.
हाँ.
और मेरा लोन था इंडीमैक बैंक. सुना है आपने?
हाँ, इंडीमैक सुना है. बहुत बहुत सुना है उसके
तो
बारे में.
उनके पास था मेरा लोन. बाकी जो बैंक होते हैं जैसे वेल्स फार्गो है, बैंक ऑफ अमेरिका है, अगर उनका कोई कस्टमर हो, जैसे सबको $1,000 मिले थे, पर हमें एक पेनी भी नहीं मिला इंडीमैक बैंक की तरफ से.
राइट. तो क्या है कि जब फोरक्लोजर हो जाता है तब what the lenders did that time is, if you are still living in the property, they gave you something called the funds to kind of relocate. So just for you to hand over the keys, they gave you some money. And some people knew that's how it happens, and what they did was they said, oh, I'm still staying in the house, you can evict me, and it may take you another month or two to do that, but if you pay me like few $1,000s, I will move out tomorrow. You know?
नहीं कुछ नहीं दिया उन्होंने.
हाँ मालूम है. So the thing is, it depends on how you negotiate. You know, इसलिए you have to know what's available in the marketplace and other things, and talk to people, open up your situation and things like that. We have another caller coming in. Hello.
हाँ जी.
हाँ तो अभी दूसरा कॉलर ले रहे हैं. Hello, this is Amit. How can I help? Hello. Looks like we lost the caller or what? All right. Anyway, so coming back to our original thought process. So these are the contingencies. Like I said, is going to protect the buyer or seller depending on how they put those contingencies in the contract.
So listeners, if you are listening to Power Hour with Amit Inamdar, today we are talking about the real estate contingencies and how they can protect you. So if you have questions regarding real estate loans or contingencies, you can give us a call 510-770-1550, 770-1550. So Amit, you talked about loan contingency. Let's talk about appraisal contingency. Why it is so important?
Right. You know, this is a rising market. Okay, you have to kind of accept that. And a lot of times I've seen buyers saying, oh, the market is going up, I don't want to bid, etc., because everybody just bids higher and I just want to stay out. But look at it this way. When it's a buyer's market and you bid low, the next buyer bids even lower. So you are actually catching a falling knife. You know, it's like you think you did good, but then somebody else buys the same home at a lower price. So this is the market you want to buy the home in. And the biggest culprit in this market is basically the appraisal contingency that can actually hurt you really bad. The reason being, let's say the appraisal contingency is going to state that if home does not appraise at the value you are paying, you are not going to buy the home. Okay? But if you have the appraisal contingency in the contract, it allows you to not buy and get your deposit and move on to the next one, or also allows you to negotiate the home price. Just to let you know, we got into a contract in month of November here in Union City, and the appraisal came in $25,000 lower, and the seller was in a rush to sell, and he just agreed our demand to reduce the price by $25,000. So my buyer was so happy with a 10% down payment, trying to bid higher, and then having their appraisal contingency not only protected his deposit, but also helped him reduce the home price. So these are the things basically that happen with appraisal contingency.
So just to be clear, Amit, appraisal gets done by the lender, not by the buyer.
Well, it doesn't get by the lender, nor does it get by the buyer. Okay, there are new companies called AMCs, the appraisal management companies. So all the buyer does is tells his lender, hey, please order the appraisal. So the lender then goes to this appraisal management company, who selects the appraisal, who lender doesn't have any connection with, nor the broker. Okay, and they are the ones who actually go and do the appraisal. And that's the only way to protect the lender's interest, because these loans eventually get sold to Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, if they are basically the agency loans, and then people are not just buying it at inflated values and having inflated money coming in and then just walking away from it. So it just kind of protects the lender with that process. So they are done, appraisals are done by the appraisers complying with AMCs. Yes.
Okay. So how do you protect buyers from appraisal contingencies?
Right. So, you know, I'm a real estate and mortgage broker, and that allows me to look at a lot of appraisal reports on a regular basis. I review hundreds of reports, right? So I understand the way the appraisal think and the rules they follow, like what kind of comps they can use, what kind of comps they cannot use. And knowing these rules and knowing the buyer's financial position, I do what's called risk management. And that risk management allows me to bracket saying, hey, Mr. Buyer, you know, on this home we can bid, but the maximum you can bid without getting hurt or losing your deposit only to this level. And sometimes I have some loan programs that also help you do the loan in a very creative way, where you can actually extend yourself a little bit more just to get into the house. Always remember, this is a rising market. Once you buy a home at, say, 50K above asking, the next seller wants to sell it at least at that price. And if there were 20 buyers making an offer on this house, there are 19 buyers still out there who are going to bid on that higher price that you bought it at. So don't be afraid of bidding in this market. Make sure, though, you do your risk management properly.
And have all contingencies in place?
Well, you cannot have all contingencies in place in this market, okay? But the thing is, there are ways to work around that.
Okay.
And that's what I do with my buyers, so that the unsuspecting seller ends up accepting the offers, and then we kind of get the peace of mind, and buyers get their dream home.
Dream home, I mean, it must be devastating for the family
if they lose it, right?
Yeah, if
Yeah,
they lose
right.
the house of their dreams.
Yeah, right. That is true. So if you don't do this exercise that I do of risk management, okay, then you because of some mistake and other things, you may lose your deposit, you may lose the home, and it's going to be very devastating for the buyer. And they are going to just kind of feel that the home buying process is too hard, and it's not going to encourage them to look at it again in the same way. So let's talk about, like, say, for example, inspection contingencies, right? When you purchase a home, you want to do these other inspection contingencies also, like property, termite, and roof. And those inspection contingencies are also critical, because when you do these inspections, you check various aspects of the property, ranging from electrical, plumbing, HVAC systems, chimney, and other things. And that allows you to make sure the property that you are buying is in good condition. The seller has not done any unauthorized improvements on the property. I remember just a year ago, we had seller's reports, everything looked good, but we did our inspections anyway. We found mold issues, and the remediation cost sellers $12,000 to actually get it done.
Wow.
Now the beauty is this, okay? If you find something and seller doesn't agree, I mean, seller knows about it, and next buyer needs to be disclosed with that information. So seller has two options: either reject what you want to do, or move on to the next buyer and tell him that this is what's wrong with the property, and that buyer may ask you to correct that anyway. So it requires a good negotiation skills to figure out what exactly you are going to do with this property condition. I'm getting a lot of static.
That is very serious, Amit. So does that mean one should look for a newer home than an older home, with all the inspection contingencies and the issues and all?
Right. So the thing is, the newer homes, of course, have fewer issues. Okay. However, the newer homes in the Bay Area are close to freeways, railway lines, industrial areas, and some near the cemetery. So buyers have different views on these homes, and you need to realize that you have to buy the home with resale in your mind, because you are going to be a seller one day when you want to upgrade that home or move to a new location because of jobs and other things. So right thing to do always is to make sure you complete all evaluations on the home. I have had a situation where a brand new home, where they had installed some wood members, had already existing insects invading that wood member, and that's what we ended up finding out.
So we are almost running out of the time, Amit. You want to talk about the first time home buyer webinar again?
Yeah, definitely. We can talk about that. I mean, this webinar is free in the form of a webinar on my website and easily accessible online. Just look at ownsweethome.net. If you want to learn about current market, home buying, you can view this webinar. If you just want, it's called the First Time Home Buyer Webinar, and it's on my website. Just take a look. Once you watch it, all of your questions will be answered, and you are going to have new questions because you are learning something new. You will know about something that you didn't know that you didn't know. Okay, and that's when once you're done with that, we are going to meet one-on-one to do the neighborhood selection and your pre-approval. All right.
Great. Thank you for the show, Amit.
Right, of course, and have a very happy weekend, guys. And this Sunday, my daughter is going to sing at the India Republic Day show. She's going to be Lake Elizabeth. She's going to be singing both Indian and American national anthem. She has a beautiful voice. If you want to hear her, just just search on YouTube my name, or her name is Saukhya Inamdar, and you'll be able to listen to her songs already recorded. Thank you.